Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fitch and welcome back to another Total War Rise of Mordor online battle. Today we're going to be checking out the brand new sub-mod that has recently just come out. I'll be sure to link it down below in the description. Basically, what this sub-mod looks to do is add in and kind of fill out a lot of the rosters in Rise of Mordor. One of which being this faction right here, which is very cool. This is going to be the faction of Dorinio, something along them lines. Basically, if you guys remember the Vineland units that are part of Dale, this is their faction. They kind of have a really cool Dale/elf look to them, and especially these units right here are my favorite. I love the Vintner Court Swordsmen. They look absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to see what they're made of. As well as that, you have like a bunch of other factions like Dol Amroth in the game, which I think actually Dol Amroth are in this battle as well. Yeah, you have Dol Amroth as well with a bunch of new units. So it's a really cool sub-mod, especially whilst we're waiting for Rise of Mordor to come out with their next big update. So yeah, let's just quickly take a look at a few of the units that are being brought on this forces side, and then we'll dive into the battle itself as it will get underway. I also have another battle as well, so if you guys want to see that on the channel this week, just be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. It's a great way to let me know that you guys are enjoying this and also that you want to see more. So on their front line, they do have some of these Fawn militia, obviously basic troops, you know, through and through, but they'll hold the line and they'll basically die for this faction, so can't complain there. As we go back, we also have some farmer militia. Obviously these guys are born and bred on farms, so yeah, these guys are definitely going to be kind of, you know, the throwaway troops that they need. Behind that, they probably have some of their more stronger units, which is going to be these bowmen right here. Much like Dale, I imagine this faction's specialty is going to be the bow and arrow, and I love the armor. This is something that was in original Rise of Mordor. I love the kind of the shoulder, upper arm protection that they have. It looks so awesome, and it really goes well on these archers as well. So yeah, we're going to imagine to see lots of arrows flying. We then have the unit we were just looking at, which is kind of like a mix between like heavy infantry and like Dunedain type infantry, as they have that Dunedain cape on as well, which looks really cool. And finally, we do have some cavalry back here, just ready to go in. The amazing paladins. Yeah, they look very scary in their kind of elven-infused armor, ready to dive in and get this battle started. I don't think there's that many. There's a handful of new units for Dol Amroth, but I think we've already seen them as we've done a few battles with Dol Amroth before. You obviously have the really elite Heaven's Guard. Yeah, we've seen them before, and obviously the Knights of Dol Amroth. Then over on the left-hand side, we do have Gondor, and I believe Gondor are going up against Dale. Yeah, these are all kind of units we've seen. I'm sure there are a handful of new units in, like, even the pre-existing factions like Gondor and Dale, but for the most part, we're going to be seeing, you know, the same type of units. So yeah, here we go. There's Dale over here as well, bringing kind of the standard setup, and they even have some of the Vineland Guard as well. And these guys look amazing. I love the undercoats as well. They're just looking so goddamn clean. They really do. But yeah, without further ado, let's get this battle started. Let's let the two sides clash together, and we'll see who will come out on top. The first volley of Gondorian arrows is now flying at their opponents, and they're going to be trying to whittle down as much of the Dale infantry as they can. I feel like it's very pointless to try and kill the Dale archers, like in a 1v1, just because Dale outclass basically every faction in the game with their archers. They have some amazing guys, and I think they're bringing the Bardings as well. These guys are insane. They're using kind of more of a short bow variant, but you can see, and they just do so much damage on the battlefield, and they have a very high rate of fire, and already you can see a ton of these Blackroot Vale archers from Gondor going down. Yeah, every single volley, a handful of them are being taken down, so I think it's probably worth Gondor and also Dol Amroth just to charge in and just try and get stuck in as quickly as possible, because the longer this battle stays at range, the worse it's going to be for Gondor and their kind of client state of Dol Amroth. Especially these guys right here, you know, they're not exactly heavily armored, whereas what we're coming up against is a lot more heavily armored. And there you go, the arrows are flying. You're saying that, but they have managed to rout a unit of the Yard Patrols right there. They are going to be returning fire, though, with their missile fire, trying to kind of do as much damage that they are receiving. Because, yeah, as we were kind of looking at the team setups, it really does seem that this faction over here to the left on the red side is definitely like lacking in the heavy infantry, but you can't really expect them to go toe-to-toe with a faction like Darmroth, who have, you know, units like this with Seaward Sword infantry and, you know, some heavy-ass spearmen. I love the shields of Darmroth as well, by the way. It looks absolutely awesome. You know, and the heavy knights of the Silver Swan Knights, you know. Like, they're never really going to be able to go toe-to-toe with that, whereas what they really do rely on is going to be their missiles, and you can already see that they have demolished the Gondorian archers, and that's probably going to force them in. However, we did just have a bit of a cavalry charge here by the Gondorian cavalry, and they just ripped through the Watchpost Sentinels. I'm not sure if they were not braced or not, because if they weren't braced, that was brutal. You have to make sure that you kind of got a thick line of infantry when it comes to, you know, warning off cavalry. If you want a really thin line, the cavalry will just rip right through you, and it won't even be close. Man, I'm so surprised that this faction has lost the archer off against Darmroth. I mean, they had a very similar amount of missiles, and yet they've just kind of been absolutely blown out of the water. That was something I was not expecting. I was expecting Darmroth to get cleaned out. But I mean, saying that, it does seem like the forces of Dale have kind of picked up the slack on this side of the battlefield as the Gondorians do start to push forward their militiamen. These are the Ringlow Vale, no, the Palinifgilir spearmen. These guys are going to be advancing further forward onto the ranks of Dale. Now, Dale don't really have a lot of, like, heavy infantry. They have kind of heavy infantry in the back, but the majority of their front line are going to be these shipmen, who aren't really that great. They can hold their own, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to kind of excel in frontline combat against heavier Gondorian infantry like what we see all the way back. You know, these all... Where are the heavy infantry at? Like, right here. You know, they're not really going to be able to warn off these bad boys who are just ready to go in. But for now, we're getting some more cavalry skirmishes in the battlefield. You know, kind of a bit of back and forth. And I mean, again, this would probably be a perfect opportunity to try and smash through these Dalian Spear Guard. They're a little bit more heavier when it does come to people charging into them. So that the arrows fly over again. I think they're trying to focus down the Fountain Guard over there. But their battle line is very thin, and it doesn't look like they're in a special formation. So I think the Gondorian cavalry could come right back at this cavalry unit, or at this spear unit, to try and bring it down. We have some cavalry skirmishes going off as they try to pick off more and more of the Darmroth spearmen and the archers. And the archers have kind of transitioned. I mean, I guess now that they've won the missile off, they really can push over to this right-hand side and just get ready to focus down anything they really want. It doesn't seem like they're wanting to waste any ammunition on these tight shield walls. I mean, look at this infantry as well. It's awesome. I love the capes. And it seems like, yeah, it seems like the Vinewood, or, yeah, the Vinewood infantry, I've just kind of really stacked the quality on this left-hand side. We're going to look to try and crush the flank and then kind of envelop the rest of the army, which is not a bad strategy whatsoever. More cavalry back and forth. Luckily, though, the players are kind of repelling them as the infantry are just laying in the skirmish, I guess, like aftermath. There's lots of horses, lots of dead archers just laying all over the ground. And now the spearmen take up their mantle on the front line, ready to repel anything. Another cavalry charge came in. You could see how effective this spear was at defending it. They've also brought up some of the Vineland Dalian pikemen, which you can see by these awesome looking like twizzling pikes. These guys are going to come in and just, again, buff up this defense, kind of repel any cavalry charges if they decide to come anywhere close. And it's going to be very hard to break through this formation, as you see more and more arrow fire going over. I think trying to take out some of these cavalrymen, which is not bad. But holy crap, we have an absolutely huge cavalry engagement just erupting in the middle of the battlefield as the Knights of the Silver Swan come flying in, colliding against the Dalian spearmen. Shipmen and Gondorian spearmen are rushing over to this fight. And as you can see in the distance, this is all kicking off now. The entire Gondorian army is advancing into battle, looking to go ahead and strike them whilst they are busy in this cavalry engagement. And honestly, they can rely on the forces of Darmroth. The cavalry will fight this one out, and they will do an amazing job, especially with more of the knights coming in. You've got infantry coming over some more to help reinforce. More cavalry flying into this battle. I mean, that looks absolutely amazing. Look at the fighting just underway. It's a shame Attila has such a gross, foggy kind of overlook to it. It'd be much nicer if, you know, it was a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper. instead of just pure fog. But either way, you can see they're fighting about just to completely erupt. You actually have the Fountain Guard. No, you actually have some of the Citadel Guard trying to break through this. And I imagine the Citadel Guard is actually a pretty good unit to try and break this through, honestly. As these Fountain Guard are getting absolutely demolished by the archers right there. Yeah, these poor Fountain Guard getting absolutely slaughtered. Because the Citadel Guard have such a heavy melee defense that I imagine these pikes probably have a hard time of like actually killing them, honestly. So they're actually kind of really a good unit to be trying to take on other pikemen because they just don't die. A huge fight though, but it does seem like Dale and also the Vine Farmer Militia have really committed a large amount of men to this fight, and that's going to kind of be winning them the day over the majority of the cavalry. Like, obviously that Darmroth and Gondor have cavalry superiority, but for the most part they just have so much, and this line is far too thin, right? Oh, that was a brutal charge ripping right through them. That line is just far too thin to repel cavalry. But normally it's okay. Like, the thing you got to understand about him, yeah, look at that number just drop. Holy crap, that is insane. So much damage on the militia, and then they can just rear charge. Like, normally it's fine having these thin lines if you've got your own cavalry to quickly hit them in place, because most of the kills in a situation like that come from when the unit has knocked everyone down, and then they trample all the people on the floor, and that's how they mostly die. But when all your cavalry is committed over to this huge fight right now in the center, it allows someone like that to do that. Because normally what would happen is the cavalry would crash in, then you'd commit your own cavalry to hold them in place, everyone would then stand up, and that unit that initially charged and knocked everyone down would get slaughtered. So, you know, the fact that there's already just such a big engagement here from Dale and Gondor, drawing in all the extra cavalry and infantry, is really allowing situations like that to happen and to punish for super thin lines. We're finally getting to see what the Darmroth men-at-arms are made of here. I mean, they're not really fighting against anyone of huge quality, if I'm honest. A lot of the militiamen and the merchantmen, who are kind of like mid-tier infantry. Not awful, but not great. Some of the Dalian knights as well, trying their best to keep them in place. I mean, there's just so much infantry committed here. And we're going to be getting a cavalry charge here. So these guys are kind of more of the elite cavalry for Dale. And can definitely hold a lot more of their ground than what was originally in there. And we're getting more spearmen as well committed to this fight to help out. But as you can see, even with all the infantry here, it seems like the Darmroth cavalry, with the support of Gondor, are just doing a really nice job here. We've got huge infantry engagements as well on the front lines as Dale and Gondor do fight it out. Both sides trying their best to repel the opponents. I like as well how the Gondorian swordsmen are just in the back, kind of in between the two channels of fighting. Like, there is no retreat like a Russian commissar. If you try and, you know, take one step back, there'll be a Gondorian sword in your back. How have the Citadel Guard done over here as well? I mean, overall, they've done pretty decent. They're not kind of looking for a big shock infantry like on the other side. Speaking of which, I've just looked at a map and we can actually see that a large portion of the elite infantry have been committed now into this fight against the Darmroth kind of, I guess, medium tier spearmen. Yeah, they're trained, so they're okay. But yeah, they're not going to stand a chance. They're eventually going to get wiped away by this heavily armored, elitely trained unit of spearmen. And more being committed. I mean, this is kind of everything that they wanted in this battle. This was their battle plan, was to commit heavy on these flanks, try and draw in as much of Darmroth as they can into this kind of fight, so that their center doesn't really matter. We also have more cavalry just running amok over here. A bunch of Gondorian horses still left remaining. More fighting over here. It seems like the sheer number of Dale men in this fight, though, is starting to prove its worth. It's actually tipping the table over to the side of Dale. Like, they're just committing so many men. Like, you guys saw not so long ago, this fight was very much in favor of Darmroth, but it just seems like there's endless bodies being committed to this fight, and Darmroth are kind of starting to struggle. A lot of their cavalry has now been whittled down. Granted, they have 2 units in reserve at the back, but even still, this is going to be kind of bad. If they lose this cavalry fight right here, opens up the center for them to take advantage. Granted, there's a lot of space for Darmroth as the cavalry kind of broke through and started harassing a lot. That is very, very interesting. And finally, the Citadel Guard have proven their worth and broken through in this position. There's still a couple units here. However, it does seem like Dale have committed some pretty heavy swordsmen to this fight. I'm actually going to try and charge them? Are they? No, they're not. Oh, they are going to try and countercharge. I mean, I imagine their countercharge is probably going to be pretty good into the side of the Citadel Guard. That's going to be effective. A very, very ineffective charge right there. Yeah, you have some shipmen right around here as well. And, I mean, for the most part, the front line is just very back and forth. Neither side taking advantage. And, I mean, what side? I don't know, honestly. It seems like there's a lot more units here for Dale and Vineland. These aren't Vineland, are they? They're something else. I've forgotten their name as well. Dorwino. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, for the most part, it looks like there's a lot more numbers here. But I think the quality of Dormroth is winning them the day. Yeah, and they've broken through a huge gap right here as well, which they can use to really excel on the enemy. Yeah, they've committed their entire front line now. And then we even have some of the Dormroth halberds here as well, ready to commit in. There's even a small fight back here, a few soldiers who have broken through the line. A very, very exhilarating duel that they've got going on. The fighting is extremely fierce on the front lines, especially now that this engagement has kicked off. Both sides in shield wall just taunting the opponents, and the spearmen are going to shift into them, looking to try and pin them down. Not a bad strategy whatsoever. And it's going to come down, I think, to the huge engagement right here. You know, whoever wins this center point will then be able to kind of open up the two armies and split them down the middle. It's a pretty good strategy. And Gondor are committing more of their men. It seems like Dale tried to maybe try and get a rear charge off to help out their center. And granted, their center does look like it's starting to take a few more casualties. But Gondor's center is also starting to dwindle. And this will, you know, allow all sorts of outflanks and positionings. And as soon as one starts to fall, it kind of is a snowball effect. So it's really, really up to Gondor to try and win this center before the lines start to break. I mean, saying that, I think Dormroth have a very good chance of smashing the center into a million pieces. But then again, their flank is losing. So this battle is really on the edge of a knife. You know, stray but a little, and it will falter. And this is literally anyone's game. And the balance of power is very much telling us that. Numbers-wise, there's 500-man advantage for Dormroth, but that really does not mean anything at this point in the battle, as more of the heavy infantry do come colliding in. Wish it wasn't so dark. And this is on max brightness as well. Sometimes in Attila you can get a beautiful setting, and other times a color gradient is just absolutely appalling. Again, we're seeing the infantry. We should actually probably pay a little bit more attention to the new unit that has been added over here. Just because we've seen a lot of their like elite units. Where they're like, where are these guys we were just looking at? So we have these guys right there, the huge, what are they called? The protectors, the Dorwyn protectors with their huge like falcon-esque swords, colliding against Dormroth. Holy crap! I mean, imagine wielding that thing with one hand. I also really love the armor protection as well. That looks amazing. Yeah, that looks really, really cool right there. Yeah, they're trying to break through this front line. The Dormroth halberds will be able to hold for a long time. So it's really up to the Dorwynese infantry to kind of break through and outflank the halberds, because from the front the halberds was simply will not break whatsoever. They will keep their men firm. But there's some cavalry moving around for Dormroth. They've got some of the mounted lancers. Oh, they look awesome. It's actually a really cool unit. They're about to clash in against the heavy cavalry from the other side, pulling out their swords, dropping their lancers. It'd be so cool if like there was actually animations for like the lancers breaking into shields and stuff. That'd be awesome. Maybe one day when we get medieval free, a man can dream. And once again, the Vineland infantry is being removed back, but holy crap! Like, I swear so much stuff is happening in this battle where I look away for an instant, I look back, and literally the entire battle is just over on this left-hand side. What happened to Dale's center? He got absolutely annihilated. Holy crap. I was busy looking at the new units. Look back for it like 2 minutes later and they're just completely broken. I guess if you guys are paying attention to the map up the top, you can probably notice that. And now Gondor are just quickly shifting over. I mean, saying that, it does look like Dale do have a fair amount of infantry still left remaining on this left-hand side, fighting bravely, but I mean, I imagine these guys are just going to end up breaking towards the end of the battle just because they don't have much else left. But again, it's not like Gondor have much left either. You know, a handful of units left remaining on the battlefield, kind of cleaning up some of these smaller archer battalions, which are proving a little bit tricky because, you know, even though they are just the archers, the Dalian Bardmen are actually pretty decent. You know, they can hold their own in combat for a little bit. But now that they've been enveloped, I imagine we'll be seeing them break very soon. Yeah, completely surrounded on the ground right there. The rest of Gondor are kind of shifting over. This fight is, yeah, seeming like their center is finally breaking is what we kind of expected to happen. And this flank really isn't working as hard as they would like to kind of break through this position. They do still have some cavalry left remaining though. And there's really not a lot of cavalry left. And they've also broken through in this kind of far left flank. Oh, they need to shift all of their cavalry through this gap. However, there is a cavalry charge here by the Knights of the Silver Swan moving in. And they're going to be looking to go ahead and collide straight in. And these guys are not braced whatsoever. Oh my god, yeah, look at that. Right into the rear, just completely collapsing them. And now they can just trample on all of these soldiers and kill them all. This is brutal. They weren't braced. They were still trying to reform. And as you can see, it's also got a shocking effect right there. There's still some more cavalry fighting over there. This cavalry needs to be doing something. It's just sitting idly by at the moment. It needs to be committed. How's this fight going as well? It looks like Gondor have managed to clean up this fight on the far flank. More men being committed to it. And there are still elite infantry here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. You know, eventually their numbers is going to prove the worth. You can see how many troops are still left remaining here. And they're also committing a couple units of infantry over to this fight as well, to try and help out the rest of the infantry. I mean, these men are probably exhausted, but you can hear them cheer. The Kingdom of Gondor, they look to move forward and do as much as possible. So they are going to be advancing over, and I think the days of the Dale Alliance is numbered. I think this battle is quite clearly not in their favor, and it's just really the front lines holding and breaking. I mean, once again, you tend to see this in these Attila battles. One side kind of wins the flanks and the other side wins the center. And it's genuinely the faction that normally wins the center ends up winning the day. Which is quite funny. You'd think it'd be the other way. Like the center would be so staunch and holding whilst it really kind of depends on the flanks to tell you who will win the day. But no, it really kind of comes out the other way. More cavalry moving around as well, looking to rear charge them. Yeah, I mean, that's the fact that they have so many horses left is just so huge. You're getting some cavalry around the back, but yeah, this cavalry just didn't do enough, I don't think. They're coming in once again to kind of, you know, charge into the halberds. What a charge, holy crap. I can't wait to see Rohan. When Rohan come out properly for the mod, they're going to be devastating in the open field, you know. A full armoured, you know, Rohirrim on the open field. Oh, I can't imagine how deadly that is going to be. People are going to have some fun with them, to say the least. But for the most part, yeah, the entirety of Dale's army has been completely crushed on that left-hand side. And now everyone is just moving around, looking to clear up what remains of this faction. Only 2 minutes left. Cavalry charges coming in as the Knights of the Silver Sun. Silver Sun? Blazing Sun. We're not playing Warhammer. Look to clean these guys up. And even the heavy kind of Carafrat-esque horses are not enough. They do look very nice, though. The horse armor is awesome. It's like Medieval Kingdoms. Maybe that's where they've grabbed it from. As more and more of the horses turn up. But it just will not be enough. There are so many infantrymen still left remaining. And we can just triple speed probably through the last of this battle. We'll watch their last stand, obviously. Watch some of their heavy infantry come flying in. Try and take down as many Gondorians as they can before the end arrives. But the end is definitely on its way. But cool, what a battle that was. And it's so great to have some more Rise of Mordor battles on the channel. It's been so long since I got sent in a replay of Rise of Mordor. So if you guys are looking to see more Rise of Mordor on the channel, obviously first up, drop a like and a comment on the video, but also get together with some of your friends, send me in battle replays. I need battle replays. Wherever I do it right away, like I could be sitting on a replay for a couple weeks, but just having the replay there is so useful, because I can just go ahead and give you guys a kind of consistent stream of these battles. So do get together with some of your friends, join my Discord, join the Rise of Mordor Discord, look for people to play with. I'll be sure to link them all down below in the comments, because I desperately do need more Rise of Mordor replays. And a massive shout out to all these guys who consistently send me replays whenever they get a chance to. I do really appreciate it. So if we take a look at the kills here, you can see the Gondorian Swan Knight General getting over 350 kills is just absolutely insane. Did anyone else get more kills? A lot of kills on these Swan Knights, but no one getting too much. Just infantry over 250 kills almost. This one over 300 kills. Wow. And I mean, the Militia Coastal Sea Watch getting 300 kills. Goddamn disgusting. For the most part, the Dalian kills are going to be racking up on their archers. Yeah, you can see a lot of damage on their missiles. And then finally for the other one of Dorwyn, you can see again a lot of their cavalry and their archers doing a very nice job. So hopefully you guys enjoy this battle, and I'll see you in the next one.